Well, that's 2.5 hours of my life I'm never gonna get back. Why did everyone say this movie was like one of the best zombie movies that's ever come out? Really? I can think of quite a few problems with it. So, Army of the Dead is the latest movie by Zack Snyder, and by my little intro bit there, you could probably tell I didn't like this movie very much. And I'm not a Zack Snyder hater. I love Watchmen. I would even go as far as to say that Justice League, his version that came out back in March or April, one of the two, can't remember, despite the fact it's 4 hours long, I loved. It is probably one of my favourite superhero movies that's ever come out. So I do not hate Zack Snyder. But this movie has a lot of fucking problems in my eyes. So it stars Dave Bautista, Theo Rossi, kind of, and the guy who plays Ghost from Power. And apart from that, I don't really recognise many other people who are in this movie. But essentially, it's a heist movie with zombies, and there are a couple different kinds of zombies in there. There's these alpha zombies, as well as this queen of zombies. So basically, spoilers, the plot of the movie revolves around this Japanese guy coming to Dave Bautista, telling him to get a team together and basically saying there's money in Las Vegas before it gets blown up because the military is planning to explode the whole thing because it's covered in zombies. Go and get the money and you get a cut. And then along the way they run into some zombies and some shenanigans happen, and then they basically find that that's not the intention of the Japanese guy at all. He basically sent a guy to go with them to keep tabs on them, but he wants to create his own army of zombies, I think is the idea, because at one point in the movie, the guy who... I can't even remember the characters' names. The characters in this movie are so bland. The guy who he sends along to keep tabs on the other people cuts the head off of the queen of the zombies to basically take back to him so they can basically clone their own zombie army. It's kind of stupid. So the things that I like about this movie... the last 40 minutes had some decent action in it, and that's about it. The acting is okay, no one really stands out, to be honest. Theo Rossi is pretty great in this. I'd probably say he's the best person in the movie, but going into the negatives already, he's in the movie for about 15 minutes, I think. He basically gets brought along to be a sacrifice to the zombies, and then he gets turned about an hour in into an alpha zombie, and then you don't see him again until about 15 minutes from the end, and then he dies in a split second. So his whole arc and reason for being there is basically there's no point to it whatsoever. It's pretty much that guy's from Sons of Anarchy. Okay, cool. I get the whole giving the zombies like a token so they don't come after you, because that's the whole point, but why not just let them kill him off rather than just turn him be missing for about an hour of the movie and then come back and die immediately? It's just pointless. It really is. It's pretty clear from the outset this movie's not taking itself completely seriously, even though it does. There is humour in there and it is a bit tongue-in-cheek in places, but the tone doesn't necessarily work. Like, it's not goofy enough to be fun, and it's kind of self-serious, but it's with characters that you can't even really remember the names of because they have like one defining trait and that's about it. Also, a couple of plot holes I noticed in stupid things. So they make a point in the movie at one point of how if you get bitten by an alpha zombie you turn into an alpha zombie. So the first zombie was an alpha zombie, so patient zero essentially of the whole outbreak, I guess you could say, is an alpha zombie. So why isn't every other zombie an alpha zombie? If the first zombie that bit people turned them into alpha zombies, it's just going to be a continuous chain of alpha zombies if you think about it. So that's kind of stupid, if I'm being honest. That's just one thing I thought about. And two, right at the end when the city of Las Vegas gets nuked, and basically, to backtrack a little bit, there's this, I think he's German in the movie, I can't remember his name, he sacrifices himself to save Ghost from Power and locks him in the vault with all the money. So the city explodes and you think, oh shit, okay, he's dead, that save was for nothing. But no, the last 10 minutes of the movie focuses completely on him because the whole fucking city exploded, and yet he's alive in a safe. It's kind of like Indiana Jones when he survives getting blown up by hiding in a fridge. It's that level of over the top. It's I don't know, it just kind of took me out, even though the movie's not incredibly serious. The fact that there's a zombie tiger as well, which is kind of cool, but another negative, the CGI in this movie is terrible. It really, really is. And it is sort of a thing with most Zack Snyder movies that you can really notice the green screen and stuff, but for the most part the effects are pretty decent. Like, look at Justice League, there were a couple of effects that were a little bit especially on Cyborg, but most of the effects were pretty great, especially like the colouring they did with Superman's suit, because Henry Cavill wore the regular colour suit, but they changed the colour so it looked black and grey. That looked really good, you couldn't tell. But yeah, the CGI in this movie is terrible. The CGI blood is very, very CGI blood. There's one bit as well before they get to the safe, and there's these pressure plates that sort of shoot bullets and darts, and there's one where the walls crush in. They crush a zombie between the wall, and I swear to God, it looks so terrible. Not only when the walls like come in and crush the zombie, but once they pull apart and the zombie's like all strung through there. Like, it's a cool thing. The zombie is completely squished and there's bits of it kind of like stringing across the two walls. But it looks like a fucking PS2 graphic. I don't know what the budget of this movie was. The fact that it's Zack Snyder for one, and Netflix is the one putting it out, makes me think that the budget for this movie was pretty high. So if that's the case, there's no excuse for there to be effects that look this bad. And I'm aware that effects don't make a movie good, but when you're trying to sell this movie as a, I guess, fun zombie heist movie, and a lot of the action is just CGI blood, it just kind of is nowhere near as fun. Like, horror movies that use mostly practical effects are the ones that are usually the best in my eyes when it comes to gore, because it looks a little bit more visceral and a little bit more realistic. A zombie tiger's cool though. I just wish it looked better and actually did more. I will say though, backtracking a little bit to something else that was positive, and it was also in the last 40 minutes, the bit in the movie that I did find some enjoyment in. The alpha zombie that basically goes rogue because that guy killed the queen of the zombies, essentially. He's got like this little mask helmet, so they shoot at his head and the bullets bounce off, so they can't actually get to his head. I thought that was really, really cool. I really, really did. That was actually, I was quite surprised at how creative that was, because another thing I guess I could say that's positive is the fact that there's different types of zombies. There are smarter zombies. You don't usually see those floating around in many zombie movies or anything, so that was kind of cool too. But the metal helmet that zombie was wearing, that was cool. He was a scary villain because you were like, oh shit, we can't kill him. You can't shoot him in the head or anything, you need to remove that mask somehow. And the fact he can kind of anticipate your moves and is strong as hell as well, I liked that part of the movie quite a lot. And I know I've seen some people saying they didn't really like the ending much, but to be honest, I liked the last 10 minutes a little bit, because Ghost from Power secretly got bitten, but he only just noticed, which is kind of dumb. But he's like, cool, I've got money and I survived being blown up by nukes, essentially. I'm gonna buy a private jet. And then he's like, oh shit, I got bitten. And then the movie just cuts to black and ends, setting up a potential sequel. I don't know if it'll get one. It might do, but I didn't mind the ending. I didn't mind it kind of abruptly ending. It kind of caught me off guard, but not in the way of, oh, I wish it went on for 10 minutes more, because I didn't really enjoy the movie. It was just like, oh, okay. That was quite bold to end it there. But overall, this movie didn't really do much for me at all. Like, between the stupid parts of the movie and the terrible special effects and the fact that the acting was okay, but the characters are so boring and bland, and I even forgot to mention the fact that Dave Bautista has a daughter. I completely forgot about that. I finished watching the movie about 20 minutes ago. I forgot his daughter was even in the movie. She kills him at the end because he gets bitten trying to save him. Yeah, I forgot that even happened. It's not a good sign, but there were a couple bits in the last third I enjoyed. Like I said, some of the action was decent, but I really don't get what the hype is with this movie. Like, I haven't seen a lot of movies this year, but comparing it to another action movie that came out, Nobody, which is basically John Wick with Saul. Nobody was a lot more enjoyable than this. Nobody was actually a really fun time and a pretty great movie. This might get some hate for it, but it's not quite as bad as Batman v Superman. Zack Snyder still has that at the bottom of his list, but this isn't great. Don't know if I should even rate it, to be honest. I'll probably give it like a 4 out of 10, maybe. So I hope you enjoyed. I didn't really have much else to talk about. Once again, it's been kind of a dry week for trending topics, so I thought, why not talk about this movie that people are anticipating and completely shit on it. So 4 out of 10 means that it's slightly below average. I mean, it's not a terrible movie. I've seen worse movies in my time. It's just a bit long, and the stuff I've already mentioned in the video that I didn't like. So let me know what you thought, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.